afternoon, and I am both excited and honored to be talking to George Hruby. He is his credentials are amazing. He is the author of that YouTube video that had 12,000 views about the science of reading. He has enough credentials that I warned him he can't give them all because the tape would run way too long. But if you could just give us a little bit of your background and tell us about yourself, your current work, and your work with the Educational Collaborative Center, we'll just turn things right over to you.
Okay. Well, the background, as you can see, is virtual, but it's my office at the CCLD. Let's see, I've got a PhD in reading education, master's in language education. Both of those are from the University of Georgia. I've got an undergraduate degree in English and philosophy and mass communications from Syracuse University. I was in the private sector for a while, doing public relations, newspaper work, feature and editorial writing, and doing a lot of ghostwriting as well, and doing kind of street theater with wild artists in Atlanta back in the day, and those were a lot of fun. And among my many friends were some teachers. And they kind of, I was always struck by how sincerely concerned they were about the well-being of their students. And because that was the time when the focus was on students, right? The 80s, 1980s, and student-centered education. When I was a boy in school in the 60s and 70s, to date myself, the focus was on the program, right? And I think I could probably count on the fingers of one hand from K through 12, how many teachers I knew who seemed to really care about the kids. They were too distracted by the program. But somehow I learned to read. And most people know me for my work in neuroscience of reading. But some of those who know me when my early years in the 90s know me for my work in philosophical foundations of reading research and reading theory. So those are my credentials. Collaborative Center for Literacy Development I didn't start that. It was founded in 1998, created by the state legislature here in Kentucky, built on the foundation of the Office of Research and Reform. It was a collaboration between the University of Kentucky and University of Louisville. And so that with CCLD, they expanded it to include all 8 of the state universities in Kentucky, the National Center for Families Learning, which is headquartered in Louisville, and of course the Kentucky Department of Education and some private universities as well. And what it is a collaborative of the literacy faculty across all of these institutions to foster provision of high quality professional development to improve students' reading achievement. And it's been very successful. And I could share some evidence of that if you would like.
Oh, sure. I feel absolutely.
All right. Well, let me try this magic share button here. Okay. So what you see here, I hope, is the National Assessment of Educational Progress 4th grade reading scores in reading for Kentucky, the United States, and Tennessee from 1992 to 2019. The black line is the U.S. average 4th grade score. The light blue line is Kentucky, and the red line is Tennessee, just by way of comparison. And what you can see is that the CCLD was founded in 1998, but back in the 80s, Kentucky was literally second from the bottom in the nation in terms of reading scores. So this was a long time coming, and it worked its way up. And you can see that we have been significantly above the national average for at both 4th and 8th grade every year since until 2019, when things came down for a reason I could explain in a second. We've got lots of research. We do evaluation research as well, including of our own programs. And it just demonstrates the success that we've had with districts, with students, and across grade levels, including the students who need extra support. This is a chart. I shared this at the Literacy Research Association this past winter. And here again, the black line, the thick black line in the middle, you see that's the national average. The thick light blue line, that's Kentucky. The other lines are the states of the other panelists I was presenting with. And so you've got Michigan, Missouri, Delaware, Massachusetts, Indiana, and California. And the reason I share this is this. You all know that there's a very powerful correlation between socioeconomic status and school achievement, particularly in reading. The correlation between poverty and lower reading scores is emphatic. And yet, Kentucky, which is at the beginning of this timeline, the fourth poorest state in the union, and at the end, the fifth poorest state in the union, is right there in the upper middle, significantly above the national average. All these other states are in the middle of the pack in terms of student poverty. So we are really hitting way above our rate. Now that red line you see at the top, that's Massachusetts. Well, that's, like the fourth richest state in the union, and I think one of the highest per student expenditure states, right? So that's just the correlation I'm talking about. So and Mississippi, of course, would be down below, and that's the poorest state in the union. So, but we've been doing in Kentucky has been absolutely remarkable. Now we did have a drop in 2019, from 2015 to 2019. Louisville, Jefferson County Public Schools decided to no longer use our PD and go with a phonics skill drilling program coming out of a local private school. And they had a $1 million a year exclusive contract with this school for 4 years running to provide this phonics skill drilling training to early elementary teachers. And here are the changes between 2015 and 2019 in the urban district NAEP data. And you can see where Jefferson County wound up. But it wasn't alone. Baltimore, Hillsborough County, which is Tampa, Boston, Houston, Chicago, they were all doing the same kind of phonics first pedagogy, and you can see the result. Meanwhile, the urban districts that had been doing that and didn't abandon phonics, but lightened up on it to include a more comprehensive curriculum with reading focus and reading development, San Diego, Fresno, you see a significant increase in their scores, 7 and 5 point increase. And the nation as an average during this time is dropping 2 points. So that's really a 9 and 7 point increase. That's remarkable. So I just wanted to share that.
Well, that was just astounding on so many levels. And I love the fact that you had the hard data there that shows the impact of doing these kind of phonics first programs.
Now there's a unfortunate conclusion to the story. The unfortunate conclusion is that the science of reading legislation that is swept through state legislatures all over the nation, swept in through Kentucky as well. And they decided to change the way they are going to do reading support. And so the Collaborative Center for Literacy Development as such officially does not exist. The university shut it down in the face of political pressure, in spite of our success, and in spite of I think there were people that were angry that Louisville had done so badly when it tried to do precisely what they have now legislated we all must do. All right, so it'll be interesting to see what kind of result we get. The good news is the good work is still going on. All 8 of the state universities, those faculty members are still there. They're still doing summer workshops, and they won't have the funding that they had before from us, but they will have funding from the school districts by way of the State Department of Education, at least for the time being. That's coming out of the pandemic education support money. So that's going on, and the evaluation work is still going on at the evaluation office at UK's College of Education, which we're doing it for us anyway. So that's fine. And I get to go back to teaching. That's even better. Well, I was the executive director of that center for 13 years, and it's been around for 25 years. So over half of the time it's been around, I've been its director, and I've managed to maintain its funding every darn year, even as the university lost funding year over year. I think that's what made them angry too, at the liaison office. They didn't like the fact that I was doing better with the state legislators than they were. But anyhow,
Oh my. Well, this I'm afraid I'll just throw my own 2 cents worth in here as a teacher educator now for past 50 years. And what's happening right now is just incredible. And I don't mean that in a good way. We have working programs being shut down in the name of this new fad. Well, okay, I can't call it a fad. In the name of this new movement, and the new movement is not producing the results, although they finagle data to try to show that they do, but they aren't really. How long this can be sustained, I don't know. But in the meantime, I'm just waiting for some newspaper reporter out there to report, oh gosh, millions spent on letters training and no impact on reading scores. Oh dear, that wasteful spending or what? So that's my 2 cents.
You would think someone would do that story, and yet when the the local newspapers in all of the cities, the big urban cities that were doing the phonics craze in the early 20 teens, when it belly flopped, you never got any stories saying, oh, that didn't work. Instead, now you're getting stories about the science of reading. It's a grassroots movement. Walmart shoppers are suddenly knowledgeable about the scientific research on reading, and it is inspiring them to instantaneously get legislators to change laws all over the nation in tandem in the exact same fashion. Isn't that amazing? Yeah, if you believe that, you need to go back to school. That this is a nationwide marketing push that is funded by the educational publishing and testing industry, which profits from the mandated now purchase of these programs and the Wall Street hedge funds and California private equity firms, all 4 of them, that own all the products that are on those approved lists that the state departments of education limit school districts to buy from now.
Well, I can only hope that some reporter out there will listen to this soundbite and do some fact checking, because it really needs to be done. And in case anyone wants to push back on your thought that this is a marketing tool, I've in several occasions on my blog pointed out that the original term structured literacy was created as a marketing term, and that's all well documented. So
can I just share one more slide?
Oh, sure.
All right. Literacy down there on the bottom left, right? That's a trademark term owned by the International Dyslexia Association Incorporated, whose major corporate sponsors are Voyager, Sopris, and Lexia. Also Wilson Rating, which the Wilsons have sold to, I believe it's Alpine Investment Group of San Francisco. Lexia and Voyager Sopris are now the rights owners and publishers of Letters Program. And in a press release, Cambium Learning, which owns them both, declared that they were their super brand, and you can see the dates right there. Cambium Learning owns other things as well. They specialize in online education systems. And this is quite lucrative. They were bought in 2018 by Veritas Capital, a New York hedge fund, with probably about over $40 billion under, maybe 50 billion by this point, under management. In February of 22, they bought Houghton Mifflin Harcourt, which, as you know, is itself the result of the merger of Houghton Mifflin, Harcourt Brace, and Holt Reinhardt. And so you can see that they own things like Heinemann, Holt McDougall. They own InterReading, which is the #1 used of the 3 options that schools have in New York City for phonics savvy reading instruction. And just this past January, Houghton Mifflin Harcourt bought Northwest Education Association. So that's the producers of the Measures of Academic Progress test, the MAP test, which is the most used test for progress monitoring early elementary kids in their reading and math. It's given 3 times a year. Good test. So that, but you can see that these things are all, it's not hard to track this down. You just go on, go online.
Hi, well, this is Dr. Sam, and because of this interview is considerable and worthwhile content, I've decided to split the interview into two parts. You've just seen the first part, and I think there's already a lot of takeaways for you, and this week's blog will be all about that. Next week, we'll resume with part two, where Dr. Hruby will continue his discussion. He'll talk about his video, What the Phonics is the Science of Reading, and how he came to make it. He'll also talk about the content of that video. I think a lot of you already know that video makes the case for saying that there are sciences of reading. It's not just the science of reading, it's the sciences of reading. That video drew over 12,000 views on YouTube. He'll continue his analysis of what I've come to call the social media version of the science of reading. For the folks that just read the blog and don't view the videos, next week's blog will just continue over this part two section. For those of you that just follow the YouTube channel and don't check out the blog, just look for part two. That'll be posted the week after this one is. And I think you're going to find it to be just as engaging as part one, and also very informative. So thanks for all of your interest. So as always, this is Dr. Sam signing off. I'm that centrist taking flack from all sides, and I advocate for using the best research things from all sides. So, see you all next week. Bye.